Let him laugh, let him weep, let him yell, let him sing. All he wanna say. Let him lay me traps and men to pray to Jehovah, me I pray. Let him laugh, let him weep, let him yell, let him sing. All he wanna say. Let him lay me traps and men to pray to Jehovah, me I pray. Let I be me instead of playing games. For chasing fame, let somebody sweat the lack of flames. No, living my life to the fullest and shout out my halala to the fullest. Let my lungs out. I'm still rising up to greater heights as long as
Hello, Ponju Sanbonani. Welcome to Rise to Greater Heights Network, where you can turn your fears into greater success while seizing new opportunities. It is so significant to have a positive mindset, more especially under these circumstances. So this network has the potential to completely revolutionize every aspect of your life and career. My name is Nompumelelo Riel Kunene, and I'm going to be your host for today. So if you're watching us online, please feel free to put in a chat box where you're watching us from and what you hope to achieve from our podcast. Today, we are surrounded by greatness in the World Wide Web. We have an amazing speaker who's going to share some nuggets on how to really rise to greater heights. In Gold Coast, Australia, we have Andrew Eggleton. Andrew is really going to share today. He's going to be speaking on what kind of experience do you want with your audience. So at this moment, I'll just let Andrew to introduce himself. So you can go ahead, Andrew.
Hey, thank you. Nice to be here from what some might say the bottom of the earth. I'm not Australian. I'm just here during this period of time. I'm actually a New Zealander, so from literally the bottom of the earth. I got into TV in 1994. I'm not that old. I just started very early. And my first passion was always presenting. And over time, as I began to find my feet in presenting and becoming a TV presenter and public speaker, my fascination was around what just be you meant. Like, what did it actually mean? Because when the typical way of presenting that had been taught and that I was being taught and expected to perform when on camera, on stage, was when it was action, it was smile and almost pretend to be a caricature of yourself. And so when a director was yelling at you or giving you advice and they would say, just be you, Andrew, I really didn't know what that meant. And I still think it's incredibly ambiguous when someone says, don't worry, you've got this, just be you on stage. Because if anyone can tell me what that actually means, I'd be really impressed. And what just be you is asking of you is to be the most authentic version of yourself in any given moment to moment to moment to moment. So this has been my life's work, my career's work, nearly 30 years of obsession, helping really redefine what world-class presenting looks like. Getting away from the technical way of doing things, which is where you stand, the storytelling, what do you do with your hands, how do you manipulate an audience, to a more deeper, more spiritual experience to be had between the audience and the presenter.
Oh, wow, I love that. Now you can tell that we are really, really surrounded by greatness, really. Andrew is going to share every nugget that you just want to hear about being as authentic as you can be as a presenter, as a speaker. So Andrew, I have a quick question for you. If you happen to have your own billboard, I can see your billboard coming down there in the busy highway of Australia. What will your billboard say?
I was thinking about this earlier and I would go, you are so special, you are so powerful that when you step into it, the universe will have no choice but to bend to your will.
Wow, you are so special. So good people, let me tell you a little bit about Andrew. Andrew Eggleton is the world's leading authority on authentic presenting and visionary behind the Eggleton presenting method, which is a style of presenting that reinvents the speaker's experience, elevating it beyond the tropes of old school copy and paste to a deeper and more spiritual experience. He dared to dream that one day he could not only be the world class, but instead redefine what world class looks like. He takes people into a world where the space between the words is as potent as the words themselves. And when they speak, their words match the frequency of their greatness. An audience connecting, resonating, feeling the impact of each nuance. The goal is the presenter's internal world manifest both verbally and energetically on the outside to draw them, the audience, and forever influence their hearts and minds. So kings and queens, please join me and welcome Andrew Eggleton.
Thank you. You did really well. That was a long, I could have given you a shorter version of that bio, but I was enjoying listening to you. You did really well.
So Andrew, you can just jump in with your first speaking point, and then it's going to be like back and forth.
Yes, nice. I mean, let's touch on a couple of things that you mentioned in that bio. One was the space between the words is as potent as the words themselves. And not many speakers understand this because our job literally is called public speaking, right? So the misinterpretation there is that we're meant to be constantly speaking, but the space between the words, when you allow an audience to be comfortable in that space and the presenter is comfortable in that space, and there are long periods or periods where you can sit in that space and it's just your presence doing the work, your audience goes on their own internal journey and you essentially don't have to do anything. And they could go on this journey in that period where there's no words being spoken of, they feel uncomfortable at the beginning. They're like going, he's not talking, that the speaker's not speaking in. Then they get comfortable because they realize that the speaker's comfortable in this and they start to feel you. Then they might move into uncomfortable again. They might start thinking about something else. Then they might start realizing that there's all these people around them and connecting to them. So they're going on this internal journey. All the while you're not doing anything. So speakers are constantly trying to affect and influence the audience by speaking, but there's just as much to be had in the space between the words. And often there's more to be felt in that space between the words. Does that make sense?
It does. I'm just enjoying listening to you right now. Yeah.
The part where I mention, what an audience is really paying to see or they're wanting to see is an external manifestation. You manifest on the outside your true identity or who you truly are.
Mm-hmm.
And when we talk about flow, when we talk about becoming that conduit for infinite wisdom on stage, when you're in flow, I liken it to, you don't have to even be religious. It's just when God is working through you. When God's working through you. And essentially, for me, that is like the holy grail of presenting. When you're able to allow that to work through you and your audience get to see who you truly are. Like who you truly are, completely authentic, and that's when they're able to connect to you. Because there's no masks, it's pure authenticity. You've got something very powerful working through you. Often in those moments too, you're speaking, the words that are leaving your lips match the frequency of your greatness, because you're in your greatness at that point. You're not worried about how you look, you're not worried about how you're sounding, you're something far greater than you is working through you, and the audience can feel that. It's like the words that leave your lips, they just have more weight to them. your essence is attached to them. And so the topic of what you're speaking about, although that's important, the audience will be getting a feeling for who you are, who you truly are, through the feeling of those words.
Oh, wow. To me, when you mention achieving true authenticity, I'm like, you can't achieve that if you are not really self-empowered, because really no one is ever born feeling self-empowered. And empowerment, it means that you don't crumble under a failure. So I believe that, like you've mentioned, that each and every speaker has to feel that within, because you can't give if you are not well fed. Like, to me, if your individual life is empowered, it can only be an empowering impact on all those who surround you, your audience. And the confidence is learning. Confidence is really learned by giving yourself the juice you need to accomplish your goals and live your dreams. So thank you, Andrew, for sharing such a powerful message on being authentic, being an authentic speaker. Because being an authentic speaker, to me, really, you'll have to have a goal about that. How true are you to your audience? What will your audience gain from just sitting and listening to you? What will they gain? So you'll have to be true to your audience, be true to yourself. So Andrew, now it takes us to your next point. You mentioned that you'll have to also create the deep connection between yourself and the audience. Do you mean like to elaborate on that one?
Yeah, sure. So to have that deep connection, first you have to understand what authenticity is, right? And the basis of authenticity is that, and this is why most people procrastinate when it comes to, let's say, doing a video. They're wanting to choose the best version of themselves for their audience to see. So you're judging all the other versions of yourself. You're judging anything other than your best self, what you've decided is your best self. So if authenticity sat on a timeline, there's the now, which is who you are right now. Doesn't matter how you woke up, how you feel right now. This is you right now. And then there's the past and the future. The past, a presenter is deciding to choose from the past version of themselves, which they think the audience will like the most. And so they're going back to a past memory and choosing that person, which leads you into the trap of choosing a version of yourself each time instead of who you are right now. The future is when a presenter it's their imagination or their perception of what is the best version of themselves. So they might be choosing to copy somebody. They might be choosing, a more uplifted, or this is me at my most inspiring. But again, you're judging all the other sides of you to not be good enough. And that's what I'm making this figure up, but what 99% of presenters are doing that. They're choosing from past or future. Instead of accepting, this is how I am right now, it doesn't actually affect how I present my wisdom. It's not going to affect, I haven't lost my wisdom today. I didn't wake up not smart. Do you know what I mean? Or I didn't forget everything overnight. This is just how I'm feeling today. And that is authenticity. Not judging the state that you're in to be wrong or right or good or bad, and allowing that to be who you are today. Through that, you are losing the mask. You stop judging yourself. You're like, okay, what's my job here today? I'm sharing my wisdom. And my job here is to connect. And because the mask is not there, because you're not performing, you understand who you are. Because when you're performing, you kind of don't know who you are because it's a performance. It's a caricature of you, your best version of yourself. So the connection is dissipated, the connection is weakened, and you slip into that saturated level of mediocrity because you're doing what everybody else is trying to do, which is impress your audience. And if you're impressing your audience or you're performing, then your audience out there is likely not even your audience. They're attracted to that version of who you are. So the reality then, if you go down to the bottom of it, is they're not even real. They're not your audience because they don't even know who you are because you haven't shown them. Do you know what I mean? It becomes this whole, you're living completely out of integrity in every part of your life, and especially in front of your audience, you're like, it's out of integrity. You're not even showing them who you are, and then you're wondering why you've kind of got the wrong people in there. Now, the connection comes from them being truly able to see you. They are able to see you. They can feel you. You're able to sit in those pauses in the space between the words. You're present. You're standing in that. That's why I call it a spiritual experience. Because every time I'm on stage, I get to learn who I am. I'm experiencing me, and my audience is experiencing me. And it doesn't affect how I articulate or I share my wisdom or my experience. It just means that every time I get up and present, they're getting the version of me today in this moment. And sometimes that will be excitable and silly. Sometimes it'll be a little bit down or melancholic, or sometimes it'll be a bit agitated. The audience doesn't need to know those things, that I'm feeling that way, but it will affect just the words that I choose and the speed, the rhythm of my voice. I will be present, and I will have complete freedom, because I don't need to try and appease my audience, because I'm allowing them to see me and connect with me and going, this is who I am today.
Oh, wow. You know, as I'm taking my notes, I took that point where you said you have to be attracted to the version of who you are, because this is more like a spiritual experience than anything else. And creating the deep connection. Like, to me, what came into my mind is that you have to love what you do, really. Love is the most powerful of all the emotions. If I'm trying to think of what kind of things that makes me happy, and I do those things expressive each and every day. Love what you do so deeply. And then you'll have to trust that you'll be able to be the best version of yourself and inspire other people from your heart, because truly empowered people, they work in careers that they love, and it has to be something that you enjoy the most, so that you just focus on it. Just take it one day at a time. Take it one day at a time in order for you to connect with your audience. That's where I feel like I'm just falling love what you do, and love what you do so deeply, and take each and every day to transform yourself in whatsoever you love so deeply, because the more you feel and see yourself making a difference, that is just a gift that God has given you. That's
Yep.
how you're gonna be able to connect with your audience. Wow.
And if you love what you do, you have the motivation and the potency to become the best in the world at that. Because it drives you through those times where you may be feeling less motivated. And loving what you do, for me, that all comes from the heart brain. The heart brain consciousness is the technical. The brain is the technical. This is my memory bank. This is what I remember. This is what I've been taught. These are my points. These are my headings. The heart brain is its own consciousness. It's actually 6,000 times more potent than the brain.
Yeah.
And this is where, when I'm in here, is when I'm in flow. When I'm in here, God's working through me. When I'm in here, I'm in discovery and creation mode. And so on stage, I'm working moment to moment in a place of uncertainty, because I'm not trying to remember my words. I'm allowing what's going to happen to me today work through me. And that is how my message and my message and what I do is constantly evolving, because I'm working in here, creation mode.
Oh,
So
wow.
what I speak about this year is refine the following year. And every time I tour the world, which has obviously not happened for over a year with this COVID, but
Yeah.
when I'm touring the world, my events are changing event to event as I'm bringing in new ingredients and new ideas, because I'm constantly in that evolution of creation.
And you've also mentioned that we'll have to choose the audience journey. Do you want to go deeper on that one?
Yeah, sure. So choosing the audience journey. What most speakers are falling into the trap of is that they're trying to think what their audience want. They're trying to think what the audience want. Let's say there's a round number of 100 people in a room. And if you try to figure out what 100 people in a room want, you're going to go crazy, because that's 100 different personalities. So I always choose, how do I move? How do I stir something inside my audience that they didn't expect? Something that they will never forget. What is the journey or the feeling that I want them to have? And the only person that I can create that journey for is myself. So whenever I create something for an event, I'm asking myself, how do I want my audience to feel? And I bring that down to, how would I get myself to feel that? And so then I build the journey around that. So that might be the music. It might be, I'm developing with my keynotes now. I'm incorporating instruments such as the violin and the cello, and slowly building an orchestra to go with my keynote. Because this is how I want to evoke this feeling in myself. And by evoking it in myself, the audience, as a byproduct, will have that feeling as well. But I know how to get myself to that point of feeling easily. So that's all when I'm talking about building an audience journey when I'm teaching somebody, I can't tell them how to create it. I'm asking, how would you get you to this point? So if you're speaking, I'm like, how do you want your audience to feel? I want them to feel this deep sense of that they are enough, and that you want to feel like they can take their message and their imagination to a place that it's never been before. I'm like, okay, cool. Now, I can't tell you how to do that. But what we can work on is, how would you get yourself to that place? If you were in the audience, what would you want for you to do on stage for you to feel like that? And then you trust that the audience will go on that journey with you, which they always do. I mean, there might be one person or 5 people out of 100 that are like, I didn't quite get that. But everybody else, I mean, that's originality. Right? That's creation. That's complete, unique originality that's come from you. And they wouldn't have ever seen it before. And I think too many speakers try to be inspiring. It's like, I want to inspire my audience. And you go, well, why are you inspiring? I can tell you're an inspiring person, which means that when you're on stage, you don't need to try and be inspiring. You already are. When you try to be inspiring, you lose yourself, and you become someone trying to be inspiring. Like I know that I'm motivating, I'm inspiring, but so when I go on stage, I don't need to do anything. I don't need to do anything. It's effortless. I'm an inspiring person. So the last thing I want to do is try and be inspiring. I call that indicating. I'm trying to indicate to you that I'm inspiring. I'm going to get you worked up and inspired now. And then it's when presenters or speakers slip into the performance. And you lose who you are.
Oh, wow. Why do you have to force yourself into inspiring your audience? Because you're already inspired. Like you've mentioned that we'll have to put ourselves in the audience's shoes. Like, to me, what rings into my ears right now is that you have to embrace every imperfect moment, because really, you might think that you've pleased your audience only to find that your audience is not there yet. But with you, you are so sure that, oh, you know what? I've done it. So let's learn to embrace our imperfect moments, because the most empowered path to success, where does it come from? It comes through our experiences of failure, really, which are steps, detours perhaps, but valid steps to our journey. So, wow. Be in the audience's shoes. That's what I'm taking from your speech, because when we are faced with a challenging situation as speakers, we'll have to try to focus on what we can affect. Instead of focusing on the mistakes, let's focus on what we can affect, because every challenge is ultimately an opportunity to learn and grow. And that's the reason why we'll have to wear the shoes of our audiences. But we will lose our power when we let our feelings of fear replace our ability to act. Wow, that was so profound. Really, really. Wow.
There's something I said a couple of years ago. Your imperfections are the window of which you let your audience in.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, they enjoy it. They like it. It's you.
Yeah.
And if you're too polished, it's hard to resonate with it when it's too polished. It becomes a performance, and it's your imperfections. It
Mm-hmm.
is when you forget what you're saying on stage. It is when you trip. It is when you fumble your words and you just kind of move on or make fun of it or enjoy it, or it's you.
Oh, wow. Andrew, when I was reading your bio, I'm just going to go over your bio. Your bio, it says that you take people into a world where the space between the words is as potent as the words themselves. And when they do speak, their words match the frequency of their greatness. How do you really do that? Do you mind like to elaborate on that one?
Yeah, sure, sure. And I mean, this comes down to the idea of the heart brain and whether or not we know we're using it. But that, when you walk into a room and you can feel somebody, do you know what I mean? Or someone walks in and you can and all of a sudden you get anxious and you're like, well, that's not my anxiety. What's just changed in here? And you're like, oh, this person beside me. And you're kind of going to go, are you okay? You know, when they go, yeah, I'm fine. You go, no, no, you're not. I can feel that you're really anxious. You're making me anxious. I can feel it. So there's something far beyond that we know exists, but we can't see it. Do you know? We can feel it, but we can't see it. So the space between the words is as potent as the words themselves. I mean, one is that the audience feel, but let's look at what it's doing for the speaker. It's allowing you space, in this comfortable space. Instead of consuming your mind with what am I meant to be saying, what am I saying here, you're giving yourself the time to articulate and pull from this heart-brain consciousness, what do I really want to say right now? And how do I want to say it? Because if I'm speaking on authenticity, every time I get up on stage, I will speak about it differently. How I articulate it will be influenced by the state that I'm in that day or in that moment. You know what I mean? So that state, that energy will influence the words that I choose. But I need to allow the space for me to choose those words. So what happens through a keynote is predominantly I'm allowing myself the space to only speak the words that I truly feel are the ones that are coming up for me now. You know what I mean? And those words have a different energy to them. You've chosen them, they're deliberate, they've come from a place that is, you've given it space to breathe, and you're like, this is the point I'm trying to make. How do I want to make this point today, in this mood, in this state, right now? And it will always come to you, but only if you allow yourself to sit in that space. And allow the audience to do their thing. Like, allow them to sit in the space, allow them to have their feelings through that space. They're going on their own journey and feeling. And you trust that. And so that's what that is. That space between the words is also giving you as a speaker the space to go, what do I really want to say here? And it might come up a few times and you might go, no, that's not it. No, that's not it. And then you'll get this beautiful message. Often it's like when you're on stage and you go, wow, did I just say that? So where did that come from? Man, that was good. Did someone write that down? I often enjoy, and my people who know me always laugh when I'm doing a live video or I'm on stage. When I know I've had that moment, I will let my audience know. I'll go, that was pretty good, wasn't it? That was pretty good. You guys know it. And we'll joke about it because I know for certain that those words pieced together, that sentence or that paragraph just felt different. I was like, I've never said that before. I allowed it the space. I allowed it to breathe. It came from my heart brain. When I've said it, I just know that those words have more weight to them. And I know that you felt that. You know what I mean? When you've done it enough, it becomes a, yes, I know that just happened. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. Like what I'm taking, you said, an energy will influence the words that you choose. And what do I want, like you are asking yourself, what do I want to say here? And you'll be so surprised that at the end, someone will just pat you at your shoulders that, oh, you know what, you've nailed it, or you've done this. But what I'm seeing from your message is that you trust yourself, like in everything. You trust yourself before you even climb that stage. You trust yourself because trust empowers you to move aggressively towards your goals. And you are responsible for your own happiness. I am responsible for my own happiness. No one else out there is supposed to make me happy. Because if you just spend your time doubting your skills, like you've mentioned, then you can't contribute to your own happiness. Why? Because the only thing you will be actively perfecting is your ability to doubt yourself. So it's like, I'll have to trust myself in everything. I must show myself that I have what it takes to be a resourceful when I'm going for my goals, when I'm going for my dreams as a speaker, for my audience. I'll have to have what it takes. Wow.
Yeah, there's a piece to add to that, just like a tiny little piece.
Mhm.
And I love, there's a level of craft. I mean, I've been doing this for a long time, and I obviously I teach people how to do this, but there's a level of craft because God is only as potent as the tools that you supply. I kind of like that. It's very dramatic. I mean, I'm a speaker, I'm dramatic, but God's only as potent as the tools you supply. So when I have a vision of a sketch or a drawing, right, and I want to draw something, and I have drawings over here on my site, they look like a 12-year-old did them. Now, they are not to the level that I had in my head visually because I don't know how to hold a pencil. I don't know how to shade. I don't know how to get those beautiful lines and get those human figures. It looks like a 12-year-old. In fact, that's probably insulting to a 12-year-old. So when it comes to speaking, like at the moment I'm learning to speak with a cellist, and I'm learning how to use my voice and expand it with a singer, singing coach. The level that I have in my head, I'm not able to match at this point with those things because I don't have the craft, the skills. But as I'm building skills, craft is just learning new tools, constantly learning new tools, practicing them so that they go past the conscious level and they start to sink into a level that when you're doing your work, it becomes automatic. How I use my voice is automatic. What I do with my hands is automatic. How I look at my audience and the pacing and how I bring them off their seats and push them back in is automatic. I don't think about it. It's just happening non-stop. And then that allows me to do my own thing, which is discovering and having that spiritual experience on stage, instead of worrying about the technical tools, because they're so deep inside me now that they happen subconsciously and automatic. So there's a level of craft required, like anything. And if you want to be the best, or if you want to take luck out of the game and get booked for speaking gigs, or to be super powerful and potent and have an effect on life and people that you have in your imagination, there's a level of skill that's required and dedication to acquire that. And it feels difficult at the beginning, but within no time at all, you start to look back and go, oh, actually, I'm getting quite good at this. And you can rise above that level of mediocrity and go to a level where you are truly making a difference and able to make a difference by being really you.
And once again, like on your bio, you mentioned that the goal is the presenter's in the internal world manifest both verbally and energetically on the outside, in order for them to draw them to the audience and forever influence their hearts as well as their minds. How do you really do that? Do you mind like to elaborate how do you reach out to that goal?
You see, you're just talking there about a level of authenticity. So I believe that, again, we're talking about the essence of who you are. If you want to, we're going to go a level deeper here. The brain is just what we've learned. The brain's just what we learned. You know, it's what is my name? Who am I? What do I think of myself? You know, what do I think other people think of me? But the essence of us is our spirit, our soul, if you want if you want. What we want to see really is that who we are on stage is an external expression, like a pure expression of what that soul is, of what the essence of us is. That people can see that spark, people can see that you and your wholeness and your uniqueness. Now, to see that, that's pure authenticity. That's pure authenticity. That's when you are not judging who you are on stage. You're not watching yourself and, you're not thinking, do I look smart? Do I sound smart now? Do the people like me? Do the people not like me? That's all just this dialogue of the inner critic. What we want is that you're able to express yourself on stage with as much integrity, and so that what the audience is seeing is an external expression of who you really are, your soul. And you have to get out of the way for that to happen. So if I, for example, when I'm on the side of stage, I don't prepare by trying to get myself into a better state. That's pointless to me, because then I'm judging the state that I'm in to be not good enough. And no matter what state I walk onto that stage, I'm going to be fine, because my worst case scenario is that my wisdom and all the things that I know that are stored in here, they haven't gone anywhere. I'm still able to give you that. What I really want is to pass on my wisdom, and for you to experience that coming from this expression of myself that is pure. So whatever state I'm in on the side of stage, I allow that to be enough. And most people, they breathe on the side of stage, they jump around, they get excited, or they're gearing themselves up. I don't care. My audience is going to accept me no matter what happens when I walk out there, because I know my stuff and I'm going to deliver that, and I'm going to deliver it authentically. And that takes all the pressure off myself. And so I'm allowed to be free. And that freedom allows me, when I'm out there and there's people and I'm working and I'm doing what I love, I start to play. Like every time I start to play. And they can see that. They can see the little boy playing. They can see, all the versions of myself. They can see how I react and act in any given moment. They can see all the subtleties and nuances that are happening in any given second in my face, in my body. I'm not standing there with my feet shoulder width apart and, looking at them like, Robocop or, stiff and thinking about, am I doing this right? They're getting me. They're getting what is inside manifested on the outside as best as I can in that moment. And that can only happen through true authenticity. So if you're asking how do you achieve true authenticity, which this really is there's the first step of my methodology is really simple. First step is called no change of state. No change of state. And no change of state means when you're on the side of stage or about to shoot a video, you ask yourself, what state am I in? I'm melancholic, I'm down, I'm a bit fuzzy today, I'm not feeling that energetic, I'm excitable, I'm feeling a bit obnoxious and irritable. And then you go, that's good. I'm not going to judge that state to be wrong or right, good or bad or negative or positive to my presenting. That's me right now. And that allows me to embrace that and go, okay, cool. So this version of me is walking out on stage now. And that has given me the freedom of, there's no mask. My audience are going to find out really fast that they can connect to me. They're going to find out how I'm feeling, and they're going to feel me, and then we're going to move moment to moment together, and we're going to begin connecting because I'm not hiding behind anything. We're going to begin connecting, and then after a few minutes, maybe 5 minutes, 10 minutes, we'll start moving as a group. So that first step, no change of state. Don't change. What state are you in? And then don't judge it to be wrong or right, good or bad or positive or negative to presenting, because that is what just be you means. It took me years to figure out what just be you means. So when someone says just be you, it's so ambiguous and unhelpful. Just be you means Don't change the state that you're in. And that's why people procrastinate doing their live videos, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I'm not in the mood today. You're going, but you've got it in your diary to shoot your video on this today. Oh, yeah, but I'm not feeling it today. You're like, well, feeling what? You're feeling you. Yeah, I'm feeling me, but I don't like this feeling. I say, well, what's wrong with this feeling? Because it's you. So you have to be in a specific feeling to shoot a video. Is that what you think? Yeah, well, what's the specific feeling that you're waiting for? I don't know, it'd be like I'd be excitable and I was like, I'd be going, well, how often do you get out of bed feeling like that specifically? Well, I don't know. So you're waiting for this ambiguous feeling to arrive one morning and you wake up and go, oh my God, this is the feeling I'm waiting for to shoot my videos this week, which never happens, which very rarely happens. Or you do that time and you go, oh my God, I've got like 5 months worth of videos to shoot in a day. This is the feeling I'm waiting for. If you don't change state, every day is perfect. Every day. If you interviewed me this afternoon or tomorrow, I'd be a different person again.
If you don't change your state, everything's perfect.
Yeah.
That's what you said, right?
If you don't change your state, don't judge the state that you're in to be wrong or right, good or bad or positive or negative. It's perfect. That is just be you.
Just be you. Run your own race. It's your life. So focus on your own race. Another person's success really doesn't equate to you as a failure. So good people, oh my goodness. Andrew, you've just dropped this kind of bomb in front of every one of us. So good people, when you downplay your strength to others, you may end up internalizing this message that Andrew has just shared and underestimating your own power. Run your own race. Thank you so much, Andrew, for being with us here today and sharing your wisdom, really, your wisdom on what really do we need to learn about our audience. How can you grow our audience? How can you connect with our audience? So thank you. I'm not too sure if you have any final thoughts on your topic, and also if you can just share how our audience can reach out to you, and if you have any freebies for the audience, this is the time that you can just share your final thoughts.
Sure. The easiest, I'm just thinking of the easiest pathway for that would be my Facebook group where I'm teaching nearly every day the heart of presenting. And as you go through the heart of presenting, it'll ask you a question, do you want 8 points to on-purpose video? And it's just simply that, 8 points that I think you should always look at when you're creating a video. So it keeps it nice and simple. And it'll ask you if you want a copy when you go through that. Otherwise, my website, I think, has my freebie on it too, which is andreweckleton.com.
Nice. So you audience, you better rush out there and grab your freebies, connect with Andrew on Facebook. You know, you've got more to learn from Andrew, like I just did right now. So thank you so much, Andrew. Thank you so much for taking your time from your busy schedule just to be with us. I believe that our audience have been really blessed with your message. So thank you.
Thank you. You're a very sweet, kind-hearted person. I can feel that. It's really nice to be interviewed with. First thing Monday morning here, so it's a really nice start to the week.
Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, by the way, you are already in the future. We're still on Sunday 5:52 p.m. So you're already in the future by that slide. Oh, crazy time zones that we live in. But yeah, we appreciate you. Thank you, Andrew. And thank you to our audience online who took their time to be with us today here at Rise to Greater Heights Network, where you can turn your fears into greater success. I hope from the message that Andrew have shared today, you've been really, really inspired, motivated, and ready to rise to greater heights. So please do join us next week at the same time, same place. Thank you. Merci. Siyabonga.
Let them laugh, let them weep, let them yell, let them tell all they wanna say. Let them lay me traps and men to pray to Jehovah, me I pray. Let them laugh, let them weep, let them yell, let them tell all they wanna say. Let them lay me traps and men to pray to Jehovah, me I pray. Let I be me instead of playing games for chasing fame. Let somebody sweat the lack of flames. No, living my life to the fullest, man. Shout out my halala to the fullest. Left my lungs out. I'm still rising up to greater heights. As long